Hey, how you doing? This is RJ. Yes, I still do comic reviews on this channel. I know I don't get them done very often. I'm going to try to get at least one a week done from now on. And since it's, well, close to Halloween, I'm going to focus on darker kind of books. I want to do one book that somebody sent me to review. Closer to Halloween, it's just a straight up horror book because people send me things to review every once in a while, independent authors. And so I'm going to do his book closer to Halloween. It's a really good horror book, but I'm going to focus on darker kind of books until then, until Halloween, I think. At the same time, I always review books that nobody else seems to be reviewing because that's what I do, right? I focus on things that nobody else is focusing on. And so that's why I'm going to review Hex 23. Or is it Weapon Hex? I can't even remember. They make so many bad hex puns in this thing. Because I picked it up on my shelf at the comic shop there this week, and I kinda, sorta like the art, but not enough to buy it. Not a hard copy anyways. So I got the digital copy, and I'm gonna review that. And actually, first off, to start right off, this is the first time ever, I think, since I got back into comics that the title page is something that is informative to me. I mean, it's something which I actually need it in order to figure out what's going on here, because I'm not watching or actually paying much attention whatsoever to Infinity Warps. I'm just not. But the opening page says, Gamora has collected the Infinity Stones, gaining her power beyond belief. Determined to keep the stones and prevent anyone from standing in her way, Gamora made one simple move that would change everything. She folded the universe in half. In this universe of Gamora's creation, incredible new heroes and villains exist, unaware of their warped origins. Now that's actually pretty good. I mean, I like that concept. I really like what if and Elseworld kind of stories. That's why when I get back into comics now, I just read things as if they're what if, I'll go back and read all of the stuff from the Ultimates lines and things like that. I just treat it as if it's a what if, right? But I really like this idea. When I read that at the comic store, I thought, yeah, that's something I might want to review. Again, they don't need a whole page for it. That's ridiculous. It's just a waste of space, a waste of a page. What they do is put it out there so that you can have bigger letters for your writers and your pencilers and your inkers and all that, because they got to give them some kind of bone. They got to throw them some bone since they don't actually pay them any kind of wage to make these things. But anyways, so I got this book, and then I opened it up, and what I thought it was going to be was a combination of Scarlet Witch and X-23. But really, because I thought it was going to be at the very least a combination of those two characters. I was hoping it was going to be a Scarlet Witch with X-23 powers. But I got the opposite. I got an X-23 with Scarlet Witch powers. And you see very little of Scarlet Witch in this at all. I mean, she's supposed to be a combined character of the two, but really, there's no Wanda Maximoff in her at all, except for the fact that she has red hair, and she has hex powers. That's pretty much it. It's just Laura. That's what it is, except she has a little bit of a different origin. But we start off with the first page, and it shows you the mountain. It's the High Evolutionaries Mountain, right? And there's a voiceover. Now, again, I always say you got to start your comic a little better. You got to give it some action. I mean, if you had a really, really good voiceover, if you're a really good writer and you're just hitting every cylinder, then you can do this. Then you can have a picture of a mountain and do a voiceover. But here's the voiceover for this thing. It's thunder. Always thunder. For millennia, thunder. Countless unholy rituals have scarred this place, and always thunder to cover up the screams. Oh my goodness. I can just feel the cringe coming on. You can't start it that way. I mean, either you start with action, with a nice action picture, and you have some campy voiceover, or you have a spectacular voiceover, and then you can do this picture. Otherwise, no. That's just a bad opening. And it doesn't get any better on page 2 because, okay, here's page 2, right? But I'm going to zoom in on page 2 for you just so you can see exactly what I'm looking at here. Now, to begin with, I know way too much about the High Evolutionary. I really do, because I had to go through the whole evolutionary wars. It was just so bad. Oh, it was so bad. I remember having to buy every single annual that came out that year, and annuals were just, oh, it was awful. I got to know way too much, more than I wanted to know about the High Evolutionary. So I know that he creates these human animal hybrids, but really, look over in the left-hand corner of this picture. Now, I know he makes cow people, right? Is one of his main servants is a cow person. But the pig man, really? Look at the pig man. I mean, that's something at a Doctor Who. And then, next to that, you literally have Daffy Duck. And I got to the second page, and it made me feel like when I went to go see the first prequel for Star Wars, right? You get about 15 minutes into it or 20 minutes into it, and Jar Jar Binks is not going away, and you say to yourself, oh, it's that kind of movie. This is what happened with this book. I was so excited to read it. It looked so good. It had such a good introduction on that page, which is usually useless, and then we got Pigman and Daffy Duck on page 2, and I went, oh no, no, please, come on. So the entire story is, you have these people. Kind of looks like the High Evolutionary. I'm not entirely sure who he's supposed to be combined with in this. I'm not up on who he's supposed to be combined with, but it's a High Evolutionary combined with some kind of mage. And so he uses both science and magic. And what he's trying to do is to take this demon into the world. And so he's taken his creations and he's trying to give this demon a host, right? And all of these creations are no good. So him and his wife, and again, not entirely sure who the wife is supposed to be in this book. I really don't. I'm not up on all the characters anymore. So what they decide to do is, instead of using one of their creations, they have a child. And the two of them are going to have a child, and it will become it'll be like a perfect weapon, and it'll become the thing that is going to hold this beast of a demon, and so it's going to be the new body for this demon. They'll bring it up. That's what they're going to do. So that's what they do. They decide to have a baby, and then they do all this stuff to the baby. They genetically engineer it, and at the same time they use sorcery on it to try to make it this perfect weapon and this perfect shell for this demon. That's the basic story, the basic plot of this thing. And again, oh yeah, this page, I'm looking at the cow man, the cow woman, because it's a cow, right? It's a cow woman. The cow woman is a vampire. So it's a vampire cow. They have a vampire cow. This is not what I want. All right? This is ridiculous. And then they start skipping over. Like, I can see at the first they start to do these little jump scenes, and it's not too bad. But then they start skipping years. They go, 3 months later, or 1 year later, or 3 years later, or 5 years later, or 10 years later. I'm thinking to myself, oh, sweet, merciful heavens. This is not how you actually write a story. I mean, it kind of reminded me of how they did Conan, but, the first Conan with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Conan. And it really even didn't work in there. And when there was no talking, right? When it was just pictures, it kind of worked there, but not really. But here where you have exposition all the time and you keep jumping over things, oh, it's like Sword Art Online, right? You're thinking to yourself, did I miss something? What's going on here? How is this happening? Why would they jump years? Anyways, so the point is that as they start skipping over these years and show Laura, oh yeah, right, Laura is born. Okay, Laura is born. And there's this hex storm while she's being born. And then she's born. And here's another ridiculous thing. It's like, okay, she's born. And as soon as the child is born, she has tiny little adamantium claws. Like the size of half the size of a little baby finger. I'm thinking to myself, oh, I understand you're using sorcery, but really, what are the adamantium claws supposed to do? Grow with her? This is ridiculous. These people don't know how to write a story. They don't even know how. I mean, I realize they're using magic, but do you know how reality works? Do you have any clue whatsoever? And the thing is that as Laura grows up, well, her mother, sings to her in her womb and then has this emotional tie with her as she's born. And then, the father keeps on saying she's a vessel. Whereas the mother keeps on saying, no, no, she's more than a vessel. She's a vessel and she's our daughter. And the whole point of the story, the center point of the story seems to be, it kind of gets lost, seems to be that the mother develops these feelings for her daughter. And even though she thought the daughter was just going to be this vessel at the first, she starts to develop this connection with the daughter, and she becomes the vessel and her daughter. And then as it goes on and on, she just sees her as her daughter, and she doesn't want her to become the vessel of this demon. Now that is a good central part to the story. If they didn't screw it up every chance they got, I mean, really, that would make a spectacular story. This is what makes me so upset about current Marvel. They have all of these things. I'll give it some credit. This book doesn't have any SJW nonsense in it. I'll give you that right off the bat. That's good. But this story has a great premise, and it has a great core to the story. If they had focused on that core to the story and actually, brought it out as being the core and not just slopped it around every way to try to push it in there, this would have been a great story. But no, they couldn't do that because these writers have no worth. They don't know how to write a story, and they don't have editors that are willing to sit there and say, no, you really shouldn't do that, because they keep pulling in these other heroes and villains. Now, I understand you want to have some subplots, because the subplots, there's 2 different subplots in this book. I mean, it's only, 24 pages long? You can't have 2 different subplots with different villains in both of them that are combinations of other heroes and villains. It makes no sense. The whole point of the subplots is to show that, well, when Laura grows up, she's a good warrior, and she fights off the first ones. But the second one, they have this side quest kind of thing where they're trying to go get this sigil, which is imbued with magic, and it's basically the skull on Punisher's chest. It's supposed to be imbued with magic, and so they have to go get it from him. And he has, I don't know what he's supposed to be a combination of, and he has something like the Ghost Rider with him. There's a couple of things in there. But okay, first of all, these heroes, I don't know if they're heroes or villains, that the Punisher and the rest of them, that they're fighting against. Now, they might be good ideas, but you can't just pull them into the story like that. And you're just sidetracking the entire thing. And, I mean, they do it twice. The other one, I think it's supposed to be Misty Knight, that comes up the mountain and tries to kill them. I mean, pick one. Don't have another band of heroes. Pick a hero that has a combination of 2 different heroes, and then that hero and his minions, or her minions, are, attacking once and then twice, and then they gain this sigil. I mean, simplify, man. Really. You're just all over the place. Again, like these characters, like the Punisher character, they kind of look cool, but it's sidetracking the entire story. You need somebody to edit these things. So the whole story is basically Laura getting trained by what looks like Illyana. I don't know who Illyana is supposed to be combined with either. It looks like Magique. I'm not entirely sure. I love Magique, by the way, from the New Mutants days, not the new stuff. But that's the entire story. The mother is growing more and more attached to her daughter, and she doesn't want her to be treated as a weapon, because the father just sees her as the weapon, just sees her as this vessel, right? Throws her into pits with a snake and sees if she will survive. Things like that, nice guy. So this is basically the entire book. This is Laura learning how to fight, Laura growing up. And again, it's jump in time, every page, every second page. And the mother basically just growing more and more attached to her daughter, making sure that she doesn't want her to become this vessel for the demon. And again, this would be so much better if they had an editor and a writer who could focus. Just focus. Oh, focus. And okay, this is book 1 of 2. All right? I mean, really? Someone thought that this was worth 2 issues? Seriously? I mean, I love these kinds of stories. I love these kinds of what if, folded universe kinds of ideas. But this is not working at all. And you get to the end of the story, and, well, I'm going to spoil this for you. I don't really care, because don't go buy this book. I'm going to spoil it for you, because what happens is the father basically finds out that the mother's growing soft, and he gets Laura to kill her mother, and then she feels really bad, and her mother tells her that she has a sister. And guess who the sister is? I'll give you this picture. The sister is a combination of Honey Badger and Quicksilver. I mean, look at the picture. What is that? That's pathetic. And it has the vampire cow in the background knitting. Oh, good heavens. These people just spit all over Marvel. I mean, really, that's what they do. They have no clue how to actually handle a story. Ugh. Really. I'm going to go read Judge Dredd now, because I picked that up too. And A Cursed Earth Wasteland is probably much more cheery than reading this thing. Hey, yeah. Well, go watch, I don't know, Prince of Darkness or something. Get me in the Halloween mood, because I thought this thing would be a little bit dark and get me kind of in the Halloween mood for getting close to Halloween, but no, not even close. So, as I like to say when I do my reviews, make comics better by reading better comics. And if you want to read a better comic, stay away from this thing. So, as always, hit like, hit the shield in the lower right hand corner of your screen to subscribe, and leave me a comment. Tell me how much you cringed just looking at these pictures that I gave you on the screen. It's just cringeworthy. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.